Joined now and restore the floor by the Pistons, one of the Pistons assistant coaches. They call him maybe the shot doctor, the guy around the league who's known to be able to fix everybody's shot. He is Fred Vinson. Fred, how are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. Thanks for having me.
We're happy to have it. Before we start talking about this team, I was doing a little research, and you did have a cup of coffee in the NBA. You played with the Hawks in 94-95 with some of Evan's favorite. He's a big state guy with Steve Smith, Kevin Willis, also, of course, Grant Long, Mookie Blaylock, and Craig Elo. Did you guys give Elo any crap about the Jordan play or anything like that when you were teammates?
No, not really. I mean, I was so young. And as a rookie, I was just excited to be on the same team as Craig Elo, to be quite honest. And knowing that he played against, Michael Jordan, who was a guy I grew up admiring, growing up in North Carolina. So it was just great to be a part of it. But yes, I did have that memory in my head.
And then in Seattle at the end with the glove and Chuck Person and the always quiet Vernon Maxwell. That must have been a trip.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's a very explosive team. Very interesting locker room we had there with Gary and Vernon. They both are tremendous personalities, and you put them in one room, and it's all nothing but excitement. That's for sure.
And now becoming a successful assistant coach in this league, do you appreciate the fact that you're maybe, I don't know, pigeonholed as just the shot doctor of the NBA?
No, I mean, I think it's something that's kind of grown. My goal has always been to try to help players in the best way that I can. I always view myself as an assistant coach with the ability to help guys get better at shooting the basketball. And so the focus for me has always been about the players I'm working with, and them maximizing their time in the NBA and their value and making as much money as possible.
Now, there's always been sharpshooters in the NBA, right? And so when you were playing, teams were taking maybe 10 to 15 threes a game if they were lucky. Now you might have players out there shooting 10 to 15 on their own. As being a shooting guru, I have so many questions about this because I love the art of shooting a basketball. But as a shooting guru right now, are you in the mecca of what you do? Because so many players want to shoot the three. It's such an important part of today's game. But how much do you enjoy just teaching people how to shoot and everything that goes into it?
It's an extreme passion of mine. It's something that I started when I was young. I wanted to develop the perfect shot, what I thought might have been the perfect shot. I'm self-taught. I read, books and stuff on how to shoot, and I just imitate some of the NBA players, college players that I looked up to. So for me, it's always been passion. And to your point, I think in today's game with analytics taking over and the amount of threes that teams are taking, and combine that with the youth and their skill set, a lot of them are getting by on their athleticism, and their ability to attack the paint, a little bit less on shooting. So when they get to this level, okay, if they have all the other tools, elite defenders, elite penetrators, and they're missing that aspect of shooting, I think that's where I've been able to help certain guys maximize with it.
When you look at somebody's shot, for instance, somebody like Sean Marion has an incredibly weird release, and then you look at other people like a Larry Bird or somebody that's a sharpshooter like a Kyle Korver or JJ Redick back in the day.
Yes.
I know it's not all about form. It's kind of like baseball. Everybody has a different batting stance, so on and so forth. But are there things that you can see within that shot where you can correct it, where not everybody's going to be the same? I remember I had a coach that was lay on the floor and just shoot it up above your head and let it roll off your fingertips. Are those kind of elementary things that you still teach NBA players?
Yeah, I think for me, when I work with guys, I don't really talk to them about changing their shot per se, though ultimately for some eventually it changed. But the way I approach it to them is I want to take your shot and help you make it better, right? So there's no correct formula. I'm not going to try to teach you to shoot like Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or any of those guys. I'm going to teach you based upon the sound fundamentals of shooting. just being on balance and all the little details that go into shooting. And okay, look at your shot and say, okay, what is he doing of the foundational things that I view in shooting? What is he doing correctly? Versus like, okay, man, his shot is jacked up and it looks crazy. So I try to start with that base fundamentals. I generally like to start from the feet and work my way up. And so that's more the perspective for me and kind of how I approach it.
What's the biggest mistake professional shooters have?
The biggest mistake professional shooters have, meaning the good shooters or just in general?
Any professional shooters, because anybody who's in the NBA is a pretty damn good shooter in my mind.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's shot selection. I think shot selection determines, how well the players shoot from a percentage standpoint. Honestly, teammates, right? Good passes, I think, are part of that formula too. Because if I'm catching passes that are low and high and just throwing me out of rhythm, I'm not going to be successful either. And then I think the mental aspect of it, like the mental aspect is huge. Like, how do you bounce back? Because nobody's going to shoot 100% on the season. I think the great ones, the Steph Curry's, Steph can come out and go 0 for 10, 11, and have that confidence next night to shoot more. And understand that the numbers are really going to average out. So I would think that the mental aspect of thing plays a huge part in shooting at the NBA level.
Now, when we talk about Fred Vinson, the first thing that's going to come to anybody's mind is he going to teach Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland to be dead-eye shooters in the NBA. Now, I know that's not possible. Maybe you want to get them to 35%, 38%, something along those lines. When you look at those two young men who are still, if you ask me, a piece of clay that can be molded, what do you see out of them that they can take their shot from here to there?
Just a desire, a trust level, and I never take that for granted. When players trust me to do something that's so personal, right? The one thing about shooting, unlike any other thing, in terms of basketball skill set, shooting is the most personal thing, right? There's variety of defensive stances and things that you can do, variety of ways you can handle the ball, but shooting is something from a young age. It's always been a personal thing for you. So for those guys to trust me to change something at this NBA level, which obviously they've been successful to a point, that means a lot. So that's the first and foremost, that willingness of trust. Secondly, the willingness to work. It's one of the hardest things you'll do because it's extremely difficult. It's all the variables that go into shooting. For me, it's a lot similar to what, in terms of, a golf pro would be trying to teach, golfers how to hit the ball correctly and how to repeat the same process over and over and over again. When over the years, muscle memory and the things you've done, you're so used to doing it that one way. And so just trying to break those habits.
Let's talk about Ausar and Ron Holland. Let's first Ausar. How has he gotten better? Is he a better outside shooter now than he was this time last year?
I think the main thing for him, as he's developing as a complete player, from a shooting perspective, his mid-range shot for sure has gotten better. And his hand placement on the ball and the things it takes for him to be successful in the mid-range. And that's one phase for him, right? We want to try to get that shot at the free throw line looking good. So now, because the free throw line is the most control you'll have when it comes to shooting, because you're in a static position, you control, everything that goes on. You're in complete control. So my focus is, okay, let's get better at the free throw line first. Let's make a jump there. And those same mechanics that you're using at the free throw line, now they'll apply to you shooting, catch and shoot threes and all that kind of stuff where, you're moving because you're jumping and et cetera, but it's still a little more static in terms of just catch and shoot. And so that's been the progress, the progression. Free throw line, let's get mid-range, and then let's work our way to the corners and find comfort in shooting corner threes. And he's been tremendous in that.
And Ron Holland, we saw a little bit, not that he can take everything away from Summer League, but it looked like his outside shot got much better.
Yeah, I mean, just like Asar, I mean, they both worked their tail off. And he'd been working like soon as, once season was over, he'd hit me up, coach, when we get in the gym to shoot. And my mindset going into that process, I knew he was going to play summer league, is to get him to a place of comfort, like get him to a place where he's comfortable, and my mindset was, him going to summer league and having success. Because confidence is a huge part of it. Right? You put in all this work and then you go and you don't have success, and it can be a little discouraging. But the patience that's needed, they're both really good at that process, because it takes time. It really does takes time, and then the more you work, you start to build that confidence, and it carries over. So it was really great to see Ron out there, just having fun, shooting the ball, relaxing, and trusting his work.
We talk about the outside shot all the time, but me and Evan always sit there to talk about Duren and say, God, if JD can only develop maybe a shot 10 to 12 feet, he'd be almost unstoppable. Are you working with him on that stuff too, or is it just the outside stuff from the other guys?
No, I mean, I've gotten with JD a little bit. Honestly, shooting threes. He's been on his own. And with some of the other coaches, with our big man coaches, to kind of help those guys out, working on the mid-range stuff as well. I'll kind of peek in and kind of give a point or two here or there, and they'll just kind of take that and kind of run with it. But he's been great, and I think for him, he's very capable of making threes out to corners. I just think it's a matter of trusting that work and having the confidence to take those in game situations.
Now, you had mentioned something that I found interesting. You mentioned the hand placement on the basketball. And so I assume that you're mentioning like the grooves in the basketball. How many players in your experience have had to grab that basketball with those grooves in order to be a successful shooter? And how many can just get the ball? It doesn't matter where those grooves hit on their hand, that they can just light it up.
I think that, the really great ones, obviously Steph Curry can catch the ball anywhere and shoot it any kind of way. I've always been a big believer of finding the seams, because I think it helps with hand placement on the ball, ensuring that your hand is centered underneath the ball when you're ready to shoot. So I've been a big proponent of that, and I try to teach the guys I work with how to do that, because it gives you a better feel again on the basketball in terms of that, the touch that we need. And you can see, and then from there, I can see the rotation of the ball. Okay, I'm like, if the ball is rotating in a balanced position based upon your hands being on those seams, that means you're shooting through the middle of the ball and not on the side. Whereas sometimes when those seams aren't properly placed, it's a little hard to tell, because you don't see the seams spinning naturally. So that's why I try and teach guys to try to find the seams. Not always the case, obviously, in some situations, and definitely it's more difficult to teach it off the dribble, teaching guys how to find those and feel the seams off the dribble.
Who's your most
anybody that you grew up, or even to this day, that you watch their shot and you're like, that's the perfect shot right there?
I would say Klay Thompson. I think for me is the perfect shot. I think Steph Curry is the best shooter to ever pick up a basketball. But I think Klay Thompson, just from a technique, sound,
form, and everything.
Yeah, I think his is more, more like ideal.
When you see a player not follow through on a shot, does it piss you off? Because it bothers the hell out of me when I'm watching like college basketball. They shoot it and their arms are automatically down. Oh, it kills me.
Yeah. I like, especially shooters that are developing. I like to see them hold their follow through, because it tells the story, right? It tells the direction of where you're shooting the ball. A lot of times it'll tell the story whether you're missing long and short. But again, you have shooters that they get hot, right? I mean, Steph, he won't even watch the ball go in. He'll turn around before the ball even goes in. But it's funny, because when I was working with Lonzo Ball, I used to always be on him about that. Like he had this thing where he would pull his hands back, and I'm like, no, so finish the shot, because it'll cause you to either push the ball too long, or it'll cause you to be short because you're not finishing and falling through.
Yeah. Who's your biggest success story? Like if you were making the Fred Vinson resume, who would you point out and say, I did this for this guy?
I mean, I think the obvious guy. I think a lot of people would say Lonzo Ball. I mean, he was a guy he was a high profile guy, obviously number 2 pick in the draft, and just the history and just the popularity at the time and how unique his shot was before he entrusted me to help him correct it. I think he would definitely be at the top of the list.
Did his dad let you work with his shot?
It's funny at the time he really wasn't involved. He wasn't around. We were in New Orleans. I mean, maybe at the time he wasn't because it wasn't like a hands-on thing or like
right.
What are you doing? I never discussed when I did talk to his dad. We had a good conversation, but we never discussed the process of me helping Lonzo with the shot early on. I mean, ultimately, obviously, when the shot developed and he had success, and his dad and I talked, and he thanked me for helping Lonzo. But yeah, no, that was all Lonzo, and I'm so grateful again. Once again, I can't say it enough that he would allow me to help him in that way. So yeah.
Duncan Robinson.
When we talk about the Pistons this year, it's going to be one player. It's your all-star, Cade Cunningham. How much better did he get, and how much better is he going to be with the addition of Jaden Ivey finally playing by his side for hopefully a full season?
Oh man, Kay's been working all summer long, man. He obviously he understands the responsibility and what he means to us in this organization. He didn't take that lightly this summer. He had a variety of different things that he was doing to try to help him, continue to expand on his game, right, and prepare for, because it's a little different, right, when you have success to a degree like we had last year in comparison to the year before. You're a little bit more marked, right? You got more of an X on your back than before. I mean, teams were coming here like, oh, it's the Pistons, because we had won 14 games. The team had won 14 games the year before. So they would kind of take us lightly at the time, and obviously now with the season and how it went, and the success that Cade had, I'm sure he wants to duplicate that success and even span beyond that. So now let's become a 2-time All-Star, and let's get back to the playoffs. Let's make multiple rounds. Let's do all those types of things.
All right, I got one more question for him, Stoney, before I end it on my part. So I'm a big memorabilia basketball card collector, and Mr. Vinson, you might have one of the coolest basketball cards out there. I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about, but it's this
Sonic card.
Whoa.
Can you tell me a little bit about this, and if you remember that exact dunk?
I do. I remember that exact play, and I actually got fouled, but they caught me attacking the basket to try to dunk. We were playing the Clippers, Los Angeles Clippers at the time, and Etrick, I think his name was Etrick Bohannon, was their big man. And I just saw a lane to the basket, and I just jumped. I wasn't even thinking about it, and tried to dunk on him. And again, he fouled me. He hit my arm at the rim, and all I was thinking was like, man, I ought to make SportsCenter off this one. It's pretty cool to see that picture though. But I knew I was going to be on SportsCenter if I'd have he caught me just right where I couldn't finish it on him. But that would have been great.
Oh, so you didn't get the dunk. I want to ask you about Duncan Robinson. Mm-hmm. Is he does he still have it? That's what everybody's, maybe worried about, because his minutes got diminished a little bit in Miami towards the end.
Yes, he absolutely still has it. And Duncan's been great. He's been great for me to watch and study, because I have this thing where I can't control, where I'm watching shooters all the time and I'm looking at, hey, what are the different ingredients that are allowing them to be successful? So he's been fun. He's been fun to watch, and he's also allowed me to show Asar and Ron, hey, look at what Duncan's doing here. Okay, look at Duncan, his seriousness on the floor. So when he steps on the floor, he's going through his routine and he's serious. What shooters do, like they have their own process, and look at how much he's shooting. And so he's been a joy for me to have around from that perspective. But also, I think this our system, and I know in the past, obviously, he's had defensive challenges where teams would try to challenge him defensively because he's so great shooting the basketball on the offensive side. But he's really good at positional defense and understanding where to be, understanding his role within your defensive concepts. And again, he brings a ton of experience. I've been to the finals and done all the things that he's done. I think he's going to be great for our group.
Tony, I lied. I have one more.
Okay.
So I have a question. So when we're talking about the actual basketball itself, I've always wondered this. In college basketball, like Michigan State will use a Nike ball, Adidas schools will use Adidas balls, so on and so forth. And then when they get to the tournament, they use these Wilson basketballs that everybody uses. How different is it for a player to shoot a different basketball? Like, is it a day it takes? Is it an hour? Is it 5 minutes? For some dudes, is it nothing? Because I know they all have different bounce. They have a little different feel. Like an NBA ball is obviously going to feel way different than a college ball.
Oh yeah, it's definitely it's huge. Again, just the feel of those high school / college basketball versus the NBA basketball versus international basketball. I remember working with Brandon Ingram before he went to play international, and we had to put the NBA ball down just for his work, and we just used the international ball the entire time because the international ball, to me, in my opinion, and having played in NBA and played internationally, is just lighter. Like it's so you think you're shooting, a certain distance and a certain accuracy, and it's long. Most of the time for me, I was always long, shooting the ball long, and so it's always that adjustment. And so a lot of times you see NBA players who shoot the ball like crazy and have all that success in the NBA, and they get into international games and they don't shoot it as well, just because again that the ball itself and the feel of the ball is different. Same thing in college. College, I feel like the college basketball is more difficult, in my opinion, to shoot, just because it's kind of sticky, as opposed to the leather NBA basketball.
Final thing for me, speaking of college, your top draft choice, Chaz Lanier, really good 3-point shooter in college. How much of a difference is it going from college to the NBA because the three's a little further out?
It's a huge difference. I think not only is the three further out, but also the type of defenders, right, that are contesting your shots. Right now, you got more rangy 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" defenders with wingspans that are covering more of the court, and so it's not as open as you appear to be. If you couple that with the size of the arenas, a lot of the arenas that we play in the NBA level are huge. So now you got to deal with that depth perception that maybe you didn't have to deal with at college, right, where the fans were right on top of you. So it didn't seem like the basket was out in the middle of nowhere. So I think those are the adjustments, the speed of the game, the closing speed of the defenders that you're facing. I think also impacts your rhythm, it impacts your flow. So all those factors to me go into the challenge of guys who were known as shooters in college and maybe some of their earlier struggles.
Fred, thank you very much. We appreciate it a lot. I know the listeners will love getting into the technical stuff on shooting, on Restore the Floor. We appreciate it, and have a great season.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. Thank you, guys.